Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs in 1992. Here is the steelbook, and just look at this. Absolutely wonderful steelbook here. Probably one of my favourite steelbooks I have. And yes, back again, this time with a Tarantino review, my first, and really been looking forward to this, because now I'm going to be doing them all in chronological order, of course, and as always, do a ranking, and cannot wait. I try and watch most Tarantino films, every year really. Have done mostly since I saw them, and this was the second one I saw. I was probably about 13, 12, 13, and I saw Pulp Fiction before this, and then this one, and completely, absolutely fell in love with this guy's filmmaking, his style, his kind of just really he's one of the original kind of directors along with Scorsese, where I really kind of was more aware of kind of different style, in terms of filmmaking and different, very, quite a young age, and just really, really just following this guy. And of course, Spielberg really is the only director, that, of course, without kind of being fully aware of his style, because he's more of a comedian, he's kind of more, he can kind of do loads of different films. Sometimes you can't really tell, at times, if it's a Spielberg film and all this kind of stuff. Of course, I love Spielberg, and I do actually prefer him to the other two. Basically though, these two guys were the first that kind of really got me into this kind of stuff, got me aware of it all, and once I saw, this film and Pulp Fiction, I just thought that is how you tell a story. That's how you make a film, entertaining and artistic, and that's how you write a screenplay. Really, an absolutely stunning film. This is, of course, one of the most popular films of all time. It's in the top 250 on IMDb, pretty high. And of course, I believe actually it's the second highest, or third highest actually, on IMDb. Django and Pulp Fiction, of course, higher than this. And this is just, a highly popular film. His debut film, actually a very, very low budget really, all things considered. And yes, basically, if you've not seen this film, basically, in a nutshell, it's this heist that goes wrong, that you learn very quickly that it's kind of an ambush, and one of the kind of members of the heist, are kind of basically someone is an informant for the police, and it's kind of a whodunit, you could say, but it's not just that, and it's a thriller, a crime film, and yeah, just a hard hitting drama. But it's more than that, of course, and this is something special, really. For me, I absolutely love this film. I think when I saw it, my mind was blown, and every time I've seen it, just love it even more. It's so perfect for me, and of course, we won't really get into the kind of the violence of Tarantino films fully in this review. We'll wait to say Kill Bill for that, but basically, I really am a defender of Tarantino. He always gets hounded. There's so many other filmmakers that kind of, not just, maybe they even make, a very, very extreme film, but, there's many filmmakers that just make constantly just exploitive films, and they don't get anywhere near as much kind of stick for it as Tarantino. I don't think any of his violence in any of the films that I've seen all of them apart from Death Proof. I can't say for that, but I never think his violence is exploitive, gratuitous, and stylized, and less so in this one. But really, it's nothing that's ever malicious or anything like that, and that's kind of cleared up. This film, is just a masterpiece for me. You begin with this amazing scene, that kind of draws you in, and if you you can kind of study this scene and kind of. People have said, that there's hints through the camera movements and everything of how people were revealed at this table scene, who is the actual, the undercover guy. But yes, basically this scene is just amazing. Just draws you in with this wonderful dialogue. The dialogue in Tarantino films, are just so good. And all the films really. Hateful Eight, maybe less so, but still it's amazing dialogue. And it's got this, very, very particular kind of feel. It's very, very kind of realistic, mostly. But it's also very, very. It's almost the dialogue is stylized in a way, but it's always, it's got references, of course, pop culture references, but it never feels just like a barrage of kind of references used as a gimmick. It's kind of weaved in to the film to make it more authentic, and kind of as well, as being its own film, the kind of thing. All his films really, and they're kind of just they're celebrations, of cinema. You could say, especially ones like Kill Bill, and you could say Django actually as well. They're really just celebrating the genres, they're kind of playing onto, and there's basically for me three stages, mainly two stages, but three stages you could say of Tarantino films. There's this, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, and then Kill Bill, Glorious, Django kind of thing. Hateful Eight is now another change really for me, in his style, his approach, in everything really, and of course he's got his own score in that film, original score by Morricone. But yeah, basically it's not, for me, it's not as good, as a lot of these later ones, actually for me. He would go on to make at least 3 films that are better than this, in my personal view. I think, he got, overall he's got better and better really as a filmmaker, and he's one of my favourite directors. He's in my top 10. Now, the characters in this film are just so good. The way they're written, all the performances, of course, they're all kind of named. You've got Mr. Brown, who's Tarantino himself, hilarious cameo. And there's more of an actual character in this film, and to say Django or something. But yeah, basically, these guys, and you see them at the table and everything, and you learn all their names. You've got Mr. Pink, Steve Buscemi. Michael Madsen is Mr. Blonde. He gets nicknamed Blondie in the film, so probably likely a kind of reference to The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. But yeah, basically, the others are Mr. White, played by Keitel, who's this is his best performance for me, I think. Keitel is the star of the show. In terms of acting, he is absolutely brilliant in this film. His finest, definitely, and not the finest film that he's in, but his best performance. And of course, Tim Roth as Mr. Orange. They've also got Joe, who's basically the overseer of the plan, heists and everything. He's the kind of boss. His son, Nice Guy Eddie, and of course, that's pretty much it. Mr. Blue as well, and basically, the way this film is constructed is one of the best things as well. It's non-linear kind of storytelling at times. You see flashbacks, and slowly as the film progresses, you get this kind of gradual build, of tension, and of kind of unraveling of the plot. It's a very, very simple plot, simple premise, just this heist that has gone wrong. You could kind of, anyone could make a film, with this setup, but very few people could make it this good. For me, really, it's just all about how he executes. The way the story is told, these characters, it's got masterful humour in the film, but it's also very, very raw and gritty, and very, very. Tarantino does this in most of his films. Really, you could say most of his films are comedies. More than anything really, in terms of genres. Yes, you could say westerns as well, but really, all of his films, have in common is the comedy, and it's a hilarious film. Very, very natural. It's so funny, this film, and just all these characters are so great. And the kind of dynamics that play off of them. And what really gets me every time is just how human this film is actually. The humanity, Tarantino brings to it, and the performances, by everyone, and especially Tim Roth and Harvey Keitel. I think they're the best too. Of course, one of the famous scenes as well. Michael Madsen, the torture scene. Now, very, very controversial. Again, not going to get into too much, but that scene is it's just one of the best scenes of all time, for me. And the use of music, all this kind of stuff. This film is so perfect. The way it's shot, the editing is masterful, genius writing and directing here. And yes, basically, it's such a humanity to this film. These people that are robbing this bank, and this humanity to it all, kind of, and it just really got invested in all of the characters. Really, I loved every single one of them. Mr. Blue, of course, is really the most minor character. He's not really in it too much, but all the rest of them are just amazing, and I just loved every single moment of this film. As I always do, it's an easy full marks for me, of course. But yes, basically, and what Tarantino does, all his trademarks here, kind of present. Certainly with his early films, the ones that lead into Pulp. the trademarks, the trunk shots, all this kind of stuff, and just this kind of rawness that it has to it as well. It's definitely, as I say, it's not the level of some of his later ones. And you could say, this is stylized less so than the others. Maybe not. It's probably more stylized than the Hateful Eight. But yes, basically, films like Kill Bill and Django that are what I call ultra stylized. This one is not quite that, and it's not his best for me. And what a kind of follow up, of Pulp Fiction. Yes, for me, is better than this, miles better, and can't wait to rewatch that for the 10th time or something. More than that I've seen. I've seen Reservoir Dogs as well, well over 10 times now. I just think this is a masterpiece. Really, and the way it kind of has so many great references, but it's also kind of this very human, and actually quite, in the end, quite moving tale of this very, very simple plot. It's just Tarantino knows what he's doing in the director chair. He writes this film to perfection. Of course, famously, it didn't take too long to write, and it's just absolutely stunning. The performances, quite a lot of people here, at their best, really, for me. Probably Tim Roth is at his best here. Keitel is at his best for me. And probably, of the films I've seen as well, Chris Penn. It's just all these great, great actors. Steve Buscemi as well, absolutely nails it. He is so, energetic. And he kind of just... It's just the banter and the kind of dynamics that play off between all the characters. It's just so enjoyable, this film. And of course, you've got, I think, the last half an hour of this film, where it all starts coming together, and the tensions kind of rise, even more. You've got more and more flashbacks. This is when the film's at its best. And you've got, of course, the scene of where you find out how they named each other. It's just so good, this film, and for the last half an hour to be miles better than the rest, it's something else. I think. The scene, there's this particular scene, of course, with Tim Roth and the bathroom scene, basically. For me, it's just one of the best scenes in cinema. I think it's absolutely genius. Kind of got, it's got kind of so much layers to this film, and it's just genius. All the little twists that happen throughout the film, and kind of what it does is it kind of has this spiritual feel to it, and the humanity to it all, and the kind of sense of karma, all this kind of stuff, permeating through, and it's just so entertaining from start to finish. The way this film, comes together, couldn't have been better, really. I think it's directed and edited to perfection. The writing, of course, one of the best scripts of all time. I've actually got it printed out. I often kind of look through it and stuff, and yeah, it's a way to kind of learn about how to write. This particular type of film, how to write a script, and it's just genius. And for this to be a debut is even more, kind of mind blowing, really, for me. And I just think, for me, it's just among the best films in the history of cinema. So overall, of course, this film gets easy full marks from me. As I've said, I think it's just genius. I think it's always remained one of my favourite films. Among them, I think I've seen more and more classics each year. Of course, countless films that I've seen, but this is still in my top 160 of all time. Which of course means it gets into my plus tiers, which is very, very rare. Anything, even tier 3 of my 100% plus tiers. If of course you're new to the channel, films that are exceptional, exceptional masterpieces that I love, a bit more than regular ones for the tier 3s, and then, as it goes up, it just gets better and better. This one jumps, above the tier 3s, and it actually gets into my tier 2 rating, so that's 100% plus, tier 2, one of my favourite films of all time. I think, yes, Tarantino has kind of topped this, I would say at least three times, and, I think, some of these films, as they stand, are actually underrated. This one luckily gets the kind of attention now, and of course, when Pulp Fiction came around, actually this became more popular actually because of that. Critically at times a bit divisive, this film, mainly because of the kind of violence, I guess, and other issues as well that people seem to pick on Tarantino for. But yes, basically, all around, this film is perfect for me. I think, it kind of, it's got perfect characters. The performances match it. The way it's edited, shot. It's got this very, very gritty feel to the cinematography, but it's also got many, many masterful uses. Dreamlike even uses of kind of slow motion, all this kind of stuff. The opening as well, the opening scene where you see them and the credits comes on. Absolutely amazing. This is a cool film, and that is just Tarantino films. They're so cool, but also so great. And it just really, really gives me the shivers. I just love this film to bits, and the script is just absolutely genius. The way it feels so natural, but also kind of really, really just so it's just so epic. I think all the dialogue always gets me pumped. Tarantino is really one of the best kind of writers in cinema, and the dialogue itself, it's such a treat. Kind of really, it's just so much fun, the dialogue, and it just, yes, I think he has topped himself, over this film with the script as well, definitely. But this one is just amazing. I think Tarantino is one of the best directors of all time for me. He's in my top 10. So there's another reveal, kind of one of my top 10 directors. But yes, basically, if you've not seen this film, check it out. This steelbook is amazing. Definitely one of my best steelbooks. And while not a top 3 Tarantino, a genius film, an absolute masterpiece. And everything about this film is perfect. And I just think it's a masterpiece. And can't wait to rewatch the rest of these films. Actually, I was quite late in watching Jackie Brown. Watched it for the first time this year, but the rest of them, I've seen mostly quite a few times. Hateful Eight, of course, as well, only once. I will be, of course, for the first time watching Death Proof. Not looking forward to that one. It's the only one I've always had, doubts about. I don't think it looks that good, personally, but who knows? It might be okay. But I'll be reviewing them all chronological order. And yes, I cannot wait, to get really into this the filmography. And yes, thanks for watching my review.